Hello, and welcome to my dining room. This is episode 39 of the Live and Learn Knitting Podcast. My name is Anne or Annie, and I'm coming to you with George right next to me from the banks of the Mississippi River in western Wisconsin. And today is Thursday, May 1st, 2025. It's Mayday, but not, well, it is Mayday, but it's also Mayday, Mayday. I've got a problem. I really do. We'll get to that shortly. Hopefully this is a shorter summer episode. We'll see about that. I don't have a whole lot to talk about because it's been busy. I haven't done a whole lot of knitting except for one project. So, what this podcast is primarily about at the moment is knitting, but I also do other crafts, weaving, I haven't spun in a while, good intentions, some sewing, and I actually did a tiny bit of sewing this week. I darned a sock for a friend. I have the darning foot on my sewing machine, which I just love using. I think it's so cool to drop the feed dog and go free style with that foot. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it was just a simple repair, but it was fun. And, any other creative pursuits that I happen to set my mind to. So where you can find me, all this information will be down below in the show notes, but I'm just going to reiterate it here. I don't often do that, and I forget, to say these things. So on Ravelry, I am Creative Mind. And on Instagram, I'm Annie P. Knits. And my blog for the podcast, which will have all the show notes, and then also maybe one or two extra photos, sometimes a bonus recipe. That is livelearnknit@blogspot.com. And my email is livelearnknit@gmail.com. So that, I believe, is all the details of that. And I really want to thank everyone for joining me today. I really appreciate your views. George is leaving for a while. I appreciate your views so much, and thank you so much for all the kind words after last episode. Got a little emotional there. I know I knew I wouldn't be able to do it without being emotional. So I was hoping I could do it without a cat throwing up in the background, but there you have it. I wasn't gonna try and start over at that point in the episode. So, and I am a rubbish editor, so it's not a skill that I've taken time to learn. So this is a one and done all the time. I do start over, but you don't know that. Not often, but yeah. I would rather just talk and, those are my priorities. The sharing, the visiting, the tech side of it, not so much. That's why there's no fancy intro or outro or here's a photo of my project. Look, there's a perfect spot right there for the photos. I don't know how to do that. Maybe someday I'll figure it out, but for now, it's just me holding things up. Okay, so yes, I appreciate all the comments and the emails and all of it. It's really lovely to hear from you. It's this community we have of creators and makers, and knitters, crocheters, everyone. It's just wonderful. Very, very happy to be a part of it. So we'll start off with a little bit of living. It's been outside, basically. Today, like I said, it's rainy, drizzly. It's not terrible rain, just light, drizzly. And actually I thought, you still could do stuff out there. I still could. And I could always pull the car out of the garage. I have projects that I want to work on, in the garage. Some of my benches need repaired. My picnic table, I have new planks for it that need to be sanded and painted and all of that. And so there's projects. There are projects to work on. But I'm going to, since it's May 1st and rainy, I'm going to stay in the house today, do a reset in here, hopefully, clean up, find some lost things that I need to find. One is a piece of paper for the library. Sometimes they stick a page in your book and they say, return this book with this page in it because it came from another library. I have to find that because I think the book is due soon. So those kinds of little things, that, just need attention. There's a lot of little need attention tasks that will happen today, I hope. So the podcast or the blog might not be updated today because I really want to focus on those, but it will be updated before the weekend is over. Let's say that. I've got an outing on Saturday, but tomorrow we'll see. It's supposed to be maybe rainy. Well, I don't know. Tomorrow. Anyway, I'm a fair weather blogger these days. A foul weather blogger these days. Yeah, fair weather, I'm outside. So the outside living, I posted on Instagram on Sunday that I picked my first batch ever of stinging nettles. I managed to hit it just right so that I didn't get stung. The stingers weren't active yet on the plants. I took a tiny chance because the gloves I wore, I know I wore them last year to try and pull nettles, and they stung me through the gloves. They have a leather palm, but then they have like a canvas on the sides of the fingers, and I still got stung, and I was really mad because that is so painful for me. I'm sure it's painful for everyone, but it seems especially bad. and on your hands too. I mean, I need my hands to do things, and it's just, So I managed to get there, time it right and take those precautions. And I was digging them up, and I have a huge patch, and it was starting to encroach in areas that I don't want it. And I don't really want them at all, but I do know how much benefits, how many benefits they have. They're edible, they're medicinal, they are, as my friend Mary commented on my post, that, you can take the bast fibers of the nettle and process that and spin into yarn. And I'm like, yeah, right. After you, Mary, you go ahead. But they do have uses. So I picked them and blanched them and pureed them. And then I froze. I had a little taste, but I was having something else for supper that they wouldn't really quite go with. So I had a little taste, and then I put them in the freezer, and I will be putting them in smoothies primarily. I thought about making a nettle black walnut pesto, because I also have black walnuts that I've been cracking and saving the nuts. We'll see. And one year I grew my own garlic too. Well, the last few years I've grown my own garlic. So I, could also put that in. It's like pesto would be almost 100% grown by me. I kind of think that's pretty cool. But, and soups, I want to make some soups with the nettles. I've seen all kinds of recipes. I'm just looking outside right now because there are 5 now beautiful bright yellow goldfinches on the ground under the feeder, just hopping around, having a really prolific feed out there. So they caught my eye. So yeah, that's what I did, the nettles. And I did save the water that I was, cooked them in for dyeing, because you can dye with nettles too. So I think I want to do that sooner rather than later, because I opened the jar this morning and I smelled it. I think it's starting to turn a bit. So, and in fact, I stuck my finger in there to, it's like, is that a skin starting on the top? I don't know. But now my finger really smells funny. So, I have some undyed yarn upstairs that I'll have to, it's in a ball, so I'll have to put it in a skein and then mordant it. And I have alum. I might have some copper sulfate. I might. And I don't know that I have any other mordants right now. But, I could at least try that. It's not a whole lot of liquid, so it's not going to be a very big dye bath. So that's on the horizon. That's been the living and the learning. Well, it will be the learning. Yeah. So that's been fun to get that right, the timing. And the patch is still there. It's just a little more contained. I worked from the edges in and got it out of one of my walkways. And yeah, I was digging those plants. And like I say, I don't know if I want to keep it or not, just because I do manage to, I don't like the stings. So we'll see. I like, there are so many things that have brambles or a lot of thorns and spikes and things, and I tend to not really care for them. I like the raspberries. I had black raspberries, wild ones, that I was letting just go. And the last several years, I've had bumper crops of black raspberries, and I really appreciated it. And I thought, okay, we're going to town now. This is taking off. This is really good. And then I realized last year, it's like, they're everywhere. They are all over. They need to be contained. So that was one of the first things I did early this year, was to go out and whack them down. Anywhere I saw one, I didn't dig them up. But what I might do once again is try to maybe move some of them to an area where they could be a little more monitored, not get just so out of control. Go where go where I want, not where you want, nature. Come on, nature. I like to let nature do its own thing, though. So we'll see. Some of them might just come back, let them be, but some of them were getting too, again, in walkways, encroaching on flower beds and gardens and things like that. And yeah, so just a bit untidy. So that's the living part of it. And here's the knitting project, the learning, the everything. Boy. This I mentioned before. I'll just briefly mention this. Pullover is, I believe, from episode 2. I mean, you've seen it before in episode 2 if you've watched from the beginning. It doesn't have a name. It was just a raglan pullover that I did, I believe, my own, version. I don't think I followed a pattern. If I did, it was an old Simplicity knitting pattern. It's Bernat Gloucester yarn. I made this in the mid-80s, probably, early 90s. Love this yarn. It's cotton. Today, it's just the perfect thing to have on because it's cozy. It's thick enough to be warm. It's not too heavy, though. It's lightweight, and I love it. I love the color, the feel of it, and everything. And it's got this detail in the ribbing of garter and then rib. So it's, knit one round. It's garter and then rib. I'll find this in my stitch dictionary and, link to it or write it out. But it's more fun than just purling all of those stitches. So, and it lays flat too. And So that's what I'm wearing. And also this headband that I made, that I showed just a few episodes ago. I'm going to have to make more of these because I like the fit of this. I don't even feel like I'm wearing a headband. Some of the commercial ones that I have, they are tight on my head and then they kind of go back and they end up way back up here looking goofy. So this one fits great. And I was worried that since it's wool, it would maybe be a little warm. It's not. And this is crocheted linen stitch. So very easy. Yeah. So more of these to come. So here's my project for today. Here's my problem. My Mayday situation was so... this happened last week. I have been working on... I'm just trying to do some yarn management here. I have been working on since I finished Kathy's sweater, I've been pretty monogamous, which is really boring. But I really want to get this done, or I wanted to get it to a better point of progress. It has to be done by the end of this month. It's a test knit for Rebecca Clow. I found that's how she says it. The Crayabea. And it is called the Lusk tee. And so we are test knitting this. And here's my Lusk tee so far. I've joined and I'm now working in the round. So you start back here and it's contiguous shaping and a lot of new to me. I think there are 3 new to me techniques in this. And the first one was this contiguous shaping of you start back here and on the back and you work that and then you go back and you pick up along this row there and then you work the fronts down and join and work in the round. And I'm trying to think now what the 3 things were that I've learned, because that was one of them, the shoulder shaping. And I really do like how that looks and feels. Yeah. I do. The yarn I'm using for this is, and the problems I'm having, I want to state this right up front, the problems I am having are not with the pattern. Rebecca has designed another wonderful pattern. It's very well written. She includes a lot of information. It's precise. The math, my row gauge didn't match hers, so I just had to knit to a measurement, and that measurement for the armhole, fine. Yep, I have not tried, fine. I say fine, I haven't tried it on yet, but I'm sure it will be fine. It looks plenty. I was worried it would not be big enough, but no, I'm sure that will be plenty big. So yeah, not a problem with any of that. The problem is with the yarn. And me. And me. This yarn is Malabrigo sock in the Rayon Vert colorway. And Rayon Vert is French for the green ray. I've mentioned this in previous podcast episodes. So I had 3 cakes, and here's the third. I had 3 skeins of this yarn, and Malabrigo, and I'll also say I'm carrying along this yarn because it was just, when I did my swatch, it was just a bit too loosey-goosey. So I tried adding 1 strand or 2 strand of this, which is a lamb's wool cashmere blend, and it's a lace weight, really fine, really fine. So it just helped give it just a little oomph, without changing the gauge really, or the heft of it or anything like that. It just gave it a little bit more substance because I'm a loose knitter. So, there. So, but Malabrigo. I know I have some of their yarns that on the little tags do have die lot numbers. I don't know if they still do that with some yarns and not, or some colorways and not other colorways. But this sock yarn said on the tag, no die lot. And I think they started doing that because I believe they were getting complaints that, well, I can't, even although these skeins are the same dye lot, they're not matching, as is the case with a lot of hand-dyed yarns. And I'm sure, Malabrigo is dyeing in huge quantities, I would guess. I mean, even if it's small batch, it's still, is it just a batch of 10 skeins? Is it a batch of 100 skeins that then they, bag up in batches of 10? I don't know, but I think they were getting a bit of flack for that. So they just said, okay, there is no dye lot. You just have to pick, do this, and you should, suggested that you alternate skeins to blend everything together. Well, here's what happened with me. I have 3 skeins of this sock yarn, and I believe the pattern for my size, which I'm doing size number 7, I believe I was going to get by possibly with 2 skeins, maybe need a part of a 3rd skein. So I brought all 3 downstairs, and they were there, and I started at night. Here's problem number 1. I started at night. And I wound up 1 skein into a cake and got going. Great, right? Great. Well, yeah. So I did the front. No, I did the back. Ta-da-ta-da. And that stitch marker is, I had to measure from there down how far I made the back. And then I stopped where I needed to stop. I stopped actually before I did the armhole shaping because of my row gauge issue. And actually I had started it, and then I asked Rebecca, I said, what do you think I should do about that? I'm worried that since my gauge is off. And she said, yeah, work to the measurement, not to. She does say, if your row gauge is correct, this is how many rows you will knit. That's really cool. And she said, you're just going to have to do the math and figure out what that new number would be, or just knit to the measurement. And so that's what I did. I stopped, I did the fronts, and then joined here for the neck. Join, start here with the 2 separate pieces, joined, work across the center, work down. So then I did the armhole shaping for the fronts. I went back, and then I finished doing the armhole shaping for the back. Well, I left my ball of yarn attached to the front. No worries, I've got 2 more balls of yarn. You can see where this is going, can't you? I have 2 more balls of yarn, so I caked up another one and I got going on the back. And look. Can you see where I changed balls of yarn? Of course you can. Look at that. And actually, let's see if I can really show you. These 8 rows are all this, let's see, is this ball of yarn. Now, doesn't that look like it's got color to it? Nuh-uh. It looks almost like a solid. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's drastic. That is really drastic. So, as soon, I had to finish, the arm shaping back and forth. And as soon as I did that and joined in the round, I thought, okay, I am going to have to helically knit these 2, all of these together, because I have no idea if this is the 3rd ball of yarn. I put these little dangles on here to remind me, 1st ball, 2nd ball, 3rd ball. I don't trust whether these 2 look the same, whether this one matches this one more, or whether they're all each individually their own. You can almost see there how much darker that one is than this one, can't you? So I just had no faith in this, no confidence anymore in these yarns. I thought I'm going to have to work all 3 of them all at once, helically, to blend everything together. And so that's what's happening. Oh, backside, where are you? That's what's happening from like here. Oh, sorry. Am I showing you the right? No, that's the front. Sorry. From here onward, you can see the blending, and you can almost go, look, there's 2 rows of dark, there's 1 row of light, 2 dark. You could, that can still, it's still coming out that way, isn't it? It's not as bad. It's blending. It's looking a little stripy. It's not looking like this top at all, but it's a little better. And on the front, it's a less noticeable, because then the front didn't have such a harsh demarcation. But you can, oh, there, you can still see there's a bit of a shift. And excuse me, when I have to take some tea. When I run out of this, it's just going to be these 2 darker shades. So it's going to be a little more severe. And I thought, well, what do I do with this ball of yarn? Because I still have a neck edge to do. Sleeves that are up here. You know, what am I going to do? I thought, I don't want to say I don't care. I don't care anymore. I have been watching Leslie of Not Quite Enough Yarn enough. I'm still catching up with her back episodes. And so it's like a Leslie marathon with me. And this is just so, you know, what would Leslie do? That's been my mantra. What would Leslie do? And it's like, Leslie would just go ahead and she would pop in stripes of a completely other yarn and yeah, just change it up. Totally different. I decided what I'm going to do, a la Leslie, is not let it bother me. And just I'm going to keep working this ball of yarn as long as I can on the body, and then just take it down to 2. But as soon as this ball is used up, I am going to use just skein number 2, which is I think the darkest of the 3, and go back and do my neckline and do at least start my sleeves. Start my sleeves, get it to the point where there's a bit of sleeve on each side, and then try. I haven't even tried this on yet, so I'll do that and then try it on. The other thing is, it's on this needle, which I believe is a maybe a 24-inch needle. I have some 20-inch. This must be a 24-inch. I actually even have some that I think are 22-inch. These odd rogue brands of knitting needles. But yeah, I think that's a 24-inch. So I've ordered some larger needles, longer lengths. And these are fixed circulars. I think this is an inox needle with that. So it's a little older needle. Yeah. My point protector on there. So yes, I've ordered needles so that I can, excuse me, work the body a little less bunched up and try it on. And that's where we're going. Now, the thing that is new for me is I've never done the helix knitting before, and I've always wanted to. My friend Dell, knitting friend Dell, she does a lot of it. She makes hats with it and mittens, I think socks using the helix knitting technique, and I'm just always amazed by her projects. And I've asked her, well, show me what you're doing, show me how it works, and she has. And of course I get home and I go, what was that again? How did that go? I don't know. So I sat down with some tutorials. I looked at Brooklyn Tweed. I'll link all these in the show notes, because there were, dozens of people that will show you how to do this. So I liked the Brooklyn Tweed one. I wasn't able to do his method because his method is you come up, you join your you work your first yarn, you join your second yarn, you work within 3 stitches of your first yarn, drop your second yarn, slip 3 stitches, and then pick up your first yarn and go. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Yes. So you're always sort of jogging it over 3 stitches every round. These yarns that are chasing each other. And I really would have liked to do that, but because I'm carrying this yarn, if I had wanted to slip 3 stitches, this would have been just a little 3-stitch carry in the back. And while that might not seem like much, I didn't want to do that with this yarn because this is very fragile yarn. It will break easily. And I was worried that even having a float of 3 stitches could possibly catch at some point and then break. And I don't know, maybe nothing bad would happen. I just didn't want to do it. So I also looked at the Pearl Soho video because they used 4 colors in their demonstration. And they pretty much divided it. They were doing a hat. And they divided those 4 colors evenly around. So Brooklyn Tweed had 2 colors, and I was going to have 3. So the 4-color one, and I believe it was the Pearl Soho, they just, well, you knit till you get to your next yarn, and you pick that one up and you knit with that. There was no slipping of stitches or anything. It was easy, but it really didn't explain the fact that you're doing like 2/3. So I have mine divided into thirds. So you're knitting a third, a third, a third, but then you have to knit another third with that same yarn. So you're actually knitting 2/3 with yarn number 3 till you get back to where yarn number 1 ended. And then a third, 2/3. There's always like a 2/3 section. And so I joined my yarn and I started working and I got to that first and I'm like, what now? Wait a minute, I did my third, but there's no yarn here. It just took a minute to go, keep going till that. So yeah, that was a learning technique. Not necessarily the project I wanted to learn that on. I really wanted to learn it on, some contrasting color work, stripes, a stripy project. A hat, probably, so which I still will. I will do a hat with the helix knitting. But yeah, I'm doing that in this project to try and meld these rogue skeins of yarn together. Yeah, and what that does for me, it will let me cross off learn a new technique on my Maker Bingo card. And if you don't know what Maker Bingo is, I'm doing a really lousy job of promoting it this year. It's just a bingo card I made up for myself, and I'm trying to share with everyone and do a make-along throughout the year on just, if you need a challenge of something to try, or if you're kind of stuck in a rut and you're like, oh, well, here I can make an item for charity, or here I can read about fiber art history, just to mix it up a little bit. So if you'd like a card, contact me via email or a comment on I need your email to send it to you. So yeah, email would be best. And I will send you the PDF of the Maker Bingo card, which may just be a forever project with me. So yeah, I think I will cross off learn a new technique for this project. Yeah, because I believe too that that was the technique I wanted to. No, the technique I wanted to learn as I learn a new technique was going to be there's something called sliding short rows, which looked really interesting and maybe kind of fun. So I still want to learn that. But boy, I really need to finish this project. For one thing, you know, fingering weight yarn, I can sit of an evening and work my way round and round. And that's the thing. I was so excited to be getting to the point where, oh, I'm going to join my underarms and start working in the round. And then it's really going to take off and go fast. It's not going fast at all with having to flip these 3 balls around and do yarn management all the time and hold this little flimsy strand of yarn, and it gets, even though I'm not twisting it, it gets twisted around the Malabrigo. So before I pick up the new skein, I have to take this, and I should have wound this into a cake. Yes, ask me, well, why don't you have 3 of these so that you could have 1 for each ball? Because that would be 6 things rolling around, and I just, please help me. Please help me. How do you manage all of your balls of yarn when you have multiples like that and you are, I mean, just, this is a mess. Look at all of that. And a couple of those things are actually loose ends from the project, but no, they're not. I lie. This is just all me and my 3, and I'm messing it up intentionally, not intentionally, but I am just messing it up by holding it up here. So yeah, this is it's a royal mess. And it's my fault. It is. So yeah, I need some help for yarn management, and I don't know if, I have a yarn bowl. It doesn't have that notchy hooky thing. I don't know if that would help. I was doing the tessellated sock from Andrea Mowry, which is sort of the same problem. It's 3 balls of yarn. You're only using 1 every round, and you're slipping. So you have to, at the end, for 2 rounds, and then you pick up the next one. And so there's a lot of this swapping, you know, back and forth, so that things don't get twisted. And that project is kind of easiest to work so that the balls are on a table in front of you, and you can just kind of, you know, pick them up on the table and they stay put. I haven't really worked this sitting at the table. I've been working it while I'm sitting in my rocking chair or on a sofa, and so the balls are on the floor. Also because I think that just makes it easier to, you know, pull the yarn up. And I try to have the one I am using at the time on my left, because that's where my yarn comes from. It comes from the left. I throw with my left hand. Go figure. So, so yeah, the other 2 are hanging out over here or in front, and then when I need to switch, I still have to untangle things. So yeah, it's just not going as fast as I would like it. And again, it's all my fault, not Rebecca's fault. She made a great pattern. She trusted that I could do this. And I can, but yeah, I was looking forward to, I will make another one of these sweaters in the future with a more accommodating yarn. I'm making the test knit of the fingering weight version. She also has a DK version, and I don't have a lot of DK yarn. I said I would test either pattern, either yarn weight. So she put me in the fingering weight pool, which is great because I really was happy to find 3 balls of yarn. I was happy for a day, a little bit, to find 3 balls of yarn that I could use up in a project. And that's another thing I've decided. I think the Lusk tee is a tee, so it's short-sleeved, you know, meant to be a summer sweater. And this will be. It's lightweight. for sure. But I think I will try and use up as much of this yarn as I can, because I'm kind of over it. And I'm also wondering if I'm going to love this color. I hope so. I think I will. But I was shopping at a thrift store the other day, and I saw a burgundy, like, you know, really plain, like solid, like that color. Just a t-shirt. And I thought about buying it for summer, because I don't have, you know, well, it's clean. Was brand new. And all mine seemed to end up with a summer stain on them of some kind. You know, I work in the yard and they get dirty and they don't get clean. So I thought about buying it because it was affordable and there. And I thought, oh, would I wear this color? And I put it back because I didn't like the color of it. And I thought, uh-oh, that's a problem. That's not good. So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. It's called Live and Learn for a reason, this podcast. So I'm learning. So that is, see, this is 40 minutes already, and I'm only have one project, but we're done. We're wrapping up. I just will leave you with one little thing. Today is May Day. I just wanted to end on a good note. So this will be our good note. A few years ago, I always wanted a tarot deck, and I bought that Knitter's tarot deck. Because, you know, yeah, knitting, making, creating, it'll be fun. Well, it gave me a good introduction into what tarot was all about, but I really didn't. That deck is just a, you know, it's a regular interpretations and tarot cards and that, but just with yarny photos. And so I ended up swapping that one out for a classic tarot deck. Here comes the mail truck. Watch it go by. Can you see it? Oh, you can't see it. I can see it. Sorry. Anyway, that means my knitting needles are in the mailbox. So exciting. Yay. And then I also discovered that there are oracle cards, and those are interesting as well. And what I use, there are all kinds of, you go to Barnes & Noble or other, you know, bookstores, other shops, there are tarot cards, oracle cards, meditation cards, mindfulness cards, everything, you know, everything they have a set of cards for these days. And it's just thought prompts, you know, something to kind of get you thinking, get you motivated. So this set, and I'm kind of, okay, ending this a la Amy Palco, although she starts her episodes, the Meaningful Stitch, her podcast. She starts with usually an oracle card. So I'm going to end with one. And this is from the Green Witch Oracle deck. And it's not necessarily overly witchy. It's more natural phenomena and the natural world. Isn't that a beautiful cover? And even the inside tray of this box, look at all the artwork on that. Isn't that beautiful? Just, there you go. Yeah. That's stunning. Very well produced. And so this is the back of the card. Again, beautiful artwork. It's just inspiring, you know, to see a beautiful artwork. And I don't use this one deck all the time. I just do every day. I have several different inspiration decks, let's call them. And I pull a card every morning and I journal about it a little bit, and it kind of sets me up for the day. So this card that I drew for us, a la Amy, is the spring card. And it's beautiful tulips and eggs. There's a little bit of storm clouds yet, but spring is coming. All this nature. My tulips, I don't have too many because the rabbits keep eating them. but the few that are surviving are blooming now, so it's pretty. And the daffodils are blooming right now. They're pretty too. So this says spring, rebuilding, awakening, and rebirth. And it's in this book, very short readings, and then there's always a little reflection question. So it says, the reawakening of the earth is always inspiring. New life is on the horizon. It can be invigorating to witness the stirring of energy after a long rest. Spring tells you that it's time for new beginnings. It's the perfect time to launch a new project, or if there are things you previously put on hold, all of our UFOs, all of our whips. The spring card can suggest that now is an auspicious time to revisit them. You will bring a refreshed perspective to this project and a new level of energy that you didn't have before. Perhaps all that was needed was a new approach after some time away and a new burst of motivation and determination. Isn't that so appropriate for us? Because we do get stuck. We do get, I could easily, if I wasn't doing this project for a deadline, it would be in timeout right now, big time. So I really want to start something right now on big needles and fast, and just take a break. But I'm going to crack on with this and keep going. So the reflection question is there a project you want to launch that you've previously ignored? Well, I've showed you things in the past. That blanket, that granny square crochet blanket. Although it says that you want to launch, and that would be start, something I want to start that I've previously ignored. That's a good question. I mean, I can think of plenty of things that I've started already that need attention, but something that I haven't started that I've thought about. I'm going to think about that for the next little bit of time, and I'll let you know next episode if I came up with anything. You let me know in the comments if you have anything that fits that brief. Is there a project you want to launch that you've previously ignored? I don't know. I'm taking launch as start from new. Let me know if you take launch as start from new or restart from old. Things to think about. Okay. A brief but not very brief Mayday, Mayday episode, and onward we will progress, and I will see you back here in a few weeks with something new to talk about, always. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.